Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CSGO Clutch Podcast. My name is Adam Cohn. I am your host, joined by the returning Dan Welch. Dan, it's about time we got our damn schedules together. What's up, buddy?
Not too much. I was forced to go to bed early last night, so I could not join you. Um, but I wanted to let everybody know that today is Steven Seagal's birthday.
There you go.
He's 69,
Happy
I
birthday,
think.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, like that was. I grew up watching Steven Seagal movies. Like I would sneak to the movie store and rent rated R Steven Seagal movies,
Okay.
and it was like that's like how I was raised.
By watching Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, Dan, we have a showdown slate here. It is the ESL Pro League Season 13 Grand Final. Heroic versus Gambit. This is gonna be a
Fuck
fun.
yeah.
This is gonna be a fun grand final.
Morning.
Before we get into that and the format of this particular grand final, let's get into the multiplayer winner for the past slate. 17-person tie for first place. Splitting that $5,000 up into 17 winners. Oh, look whose lineup I'm on. If you've been
I
following
think we need
along
to start
close,
charging him.
I think
I mean, clearly he listens to our podcast, and like he's won 3 times
All
since we
right, so what?
started.
All right, Dan. So I think it's time we're done teasing the folks. So
Okay.
the special guest that we're gonna have on the pod is Pape Mason. He is one of the 17 winners here that took down first place, and Pappy has been on an absolute DFS heat of the last several weeks. He has won multiple GPPs now. He has come close to winning multiple GPPs. He has been raking all the CFS bucks. He's found a strategy that's working. And Dan, let's talk about the 17-person winning lineup. So congrats to Pappy and the other 16 people that won. The 17 people, congratulations to you. $528.24 to each one of you. Captain, Refresh, Cadian, and Stown, Shiro, Axile, Nafany. A 3-3,
Mm-hmm.
like we've been seeing on a lot of slates recently. A 3-3 combo takes it down. The Captain Refresh is very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the dollars are what make it work.
He was only
Right?
$7,800 in the captain spot.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, that was the strategy I went, but I picked Vinny. Um, and I went with two Furia. So
Yep. So you did a 3-2-1.
yes, I did.
Nothing wrong with that lineup construction at all. Um, again, Nip and Furia were great leverage, but Heroic
Mm-hmm.
and Gambit have been the class of the field in ESL Pro League Season 13.
Yeah.
So the captain refresh is interesting. I'm really surprised with how high Nafany went off that he wasn't the optimal captain.
It's got to be dollars. I mean, or no, wait, what? Yeah, it has to be. If I mean, refresh was only 7,800 in the captain, like you probably couldn't have fit.
You may have not been able to fit Shiro.
Can we scroll down and see if you can find one where that?
Let's take a look. Let's see what the tie here in 18th was.
There you
Captain,
go.
there it is. It was just a simple switch.
It's because well, they played Hobbit.
You played Hobbit instead of Axile. 23rd was Captain Shiro with Axile and Nafany and a Shuj. So it was just different lineup construction, and it just happened to be the way it is. So like the
Yeah.
difference between 18th and first was 2 points. That stinks. But still,
Yeah.
it's just so you weren't able to get up to Axile most likely because he was $9,000, and that made it very interesting. But Axile was pretty highly owned. He was 67.8% owned, and
Totally
19.3%
expected.
in the captain spot. I was one of those 19.3% who played him in captain.
So you didn't listen to me, Adam.
No, I did not, because I thought Gambit would fly through Nip and destroy them, and to a point that they did. You just needed Nafany. And I mean,
Yeah.
Axile was still plus 11 with the 4K. So his points are nothing to sneeze at. He had 71 DK points.
No.
His points were nothing to sneeze at.
And just to explain my logic, in case anyone actually listened to you about my my thoughts, was that the kills would be spread out because they would wreck them.
Yeah, did
And
we ask for your
the
opinion?
and the
I'm only kidding. Go ahead. Now that
and
you're
the
on the
pricing
podcast, you can further explain your logic.
and the pricing on the guys that I would have captained would have been, I think, too much to be able to squeeze anybody that was worth anything from the other game.
So you were trying to
And
get as many of those top level folks as possible.
yeah, exactly.
That's understandable.
That was my goal, but I also thought that Furia would put up a bit of a fight.
Yeah, I kind of thought Field would put up a bit of a fight. Let's actually talk about that real quick and address the elephant in the room. Furia's permaban is Dust 2. They decided to play a little bit of strategy. They banned Overpass to take that away from Heroic. Whoops.
Yeah, that was stupid.
I wouldn't say stupid. I think it was really good strategy. I mean, to basically say, you
Mm,
know what? We'll risk it. Again, Heroic also never played Dust 2 with this core. I understand why they did it. Taking
yes,
away Heroic's best map, with this core anyway, in my opinion, to take that away from them, force them to play a map just like Furia haven't played with this core. I understand it. But
definitely. No, I get it.
what was more surprising to me is I think Furia only had one CT-sided round on Dust 2. That's interesting. It's like I was telling you pre-show, Dust 2, I find that is a little bit more a bit CT-sided. So
Hmm.
the fact they only got, I think, one round is very interesting. Very interesting. I can actually go to that. We'll go here to Furia. We'll talk about this page in a second. 2-0. Let's head over to Dust 2. Specifically on Dust 2, yeah, Furia got one CT-sided round. They
That's
won the
crazy.
pistol and lost 10 straight. That's an outlier.
Yeah. Well, I think Stevie PTFL said that a good team or an okay team will be good on the T side, but then a good team will be good on the CT side.
Shout out to Stevie
Um,
T PFL from Murder
yeah, and that
Practice.
didn't make sense at first because I'm like, well, wouldn't it be better to be on defense? But it's no, because of the split and because you know the choice I mean they can choose the site they want to go to and always have the man advantage if they and without gambling, right? So that CTs have to gamble to make that kind of
True,
a
but
matchup.
see, by by the notion of the T sides on any map, they are the hardest because you have to attack a site. The CTs can hold whatever lines they want to stop you from entering or get a first pick or whatever. It's it's a little different. T sides, you gotta know your strats. I mean, obviously, if it's 5v2, you can easily overwhelm a site 8 out of 10 times. You know, like if let's just take Dust 2 for example. If let's just say you're Team A, like let's just say you're
Hmm.
Heroic, and I'm not saying they did this. I'm just giving it as an example. On Dust 2, let's say they went from T spawn through tunnels, so T spawn into B site, right through the tunnel. If Fury only plays two people there, that's a 5v2 situation. Even with pistols, 5 pistols versus 2 rifles, there's still a man advantage. It's overwhelming. So yeah, but like, it's not often you do a 5-person rush strategy, because if you did that every round, CTs are just gonna gamble stack a site. Or they'll put 3 and 4 on one site and one on another, and then just do a retake. Like, it's very different. There's a lot of strategy and stuff that's involved. I just found it very interesting Fear only took one CT-sided round on Dustu. But anyway,
Yeah, it's odd.
it is what it is. So again, this lineup definitely doable. You needed Nafany for sure with his 82.5 DK points. I believe was the highest scorer in the flex for this slate. You needed him. So with that being said, again, congrats to all the 17 winners. Dan, let's get into it.
Adam.
Let's get into it.
All
It
right.
it may not be a big GPP, but there's money to be won. The ESL Pro League Season 13 Grand Finals for Counter-Strike. Heroic versus Gambit. This is a best of 5. This is not a best of 3. Strategy is going to be a little different. And I'll explain why. It's not going to be how we're going to play people. It's just going to be, you have to remember, this is a 5-map game. This is not a 3-map game. There will be one set of bans. I believe, Dan, you and I talking pre-show, we think Gambit is going to have their choice of banning first or second. For the sake of this podcast, we're going to go with Gambit bans first. And Dan and I are going to go over what I think the 5 maps are going to be in order. Dan's going to go over what he thinks the 5 maps are going to be in order. But remember, this is a best of 5 game. This is not a best of 3. So we're not going to be looking for they win 2 maps, they win the whole thing. You need to win 3 out of the 5 maps. Gambit have looked like the best team in Tier 1 Counter-Strike, period. It's Gambit, Gap, and then the group of Astralis, Heroic, and Virtus Pro. Gap, insert other teams. That's just how it looks right now. Gambit are just playing on a completely different level. I'm going to get my pick out of the way. I'm sorry. I'm a Heroic fan. I'm picking Heroic to win this game. 8 out of 10 times Gambit should win this game. That's my opinion with how dominant Gambit have looked. And I'm not knocking Heroic saying they should only win twice. Heroic have also been dominant through the ESL Pro League entire event. Let's just go back to Pro League. Dan, let's go to the group stage. Heroic 5-0. Gambit 5-0. There's a reason these teams are here. In the playoffs, both of these teams were in the play-ins. Both won their play-in stage 2-0. Both won their semifinal matchups 2-0. My opinion is I just think Gambit looked a little bit more dominant than Heroic did. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the other nice thing too, Adam, is I'm basically if Heroic wins, like there's a really good chance that you could probably cash. Even if you play.
If Heroic win, I think they're back in the top 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to DFS there.
Oh, you're going to the DFS purposes. Yes. So we will get into the DFS in a second. Right now, we're just talking some good old CS.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't care who wins because Nip isn't in the final. So
here we go again.
I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, I predicted that Nip would be the #1 team in the world around now. So
Nip are a long way off from team number 1. I mean, they're gonna.
Well, no shit, Adam.
Ha ha. I mean, like when we look at the rankings come Monday, Nip is probably going to be in the top 10 if they're not already there now, based by RMR points.
I should hope so.
So let's take a look at the points real quick.
Yeah, I have a dumb question. Where? Never mind.
So 4th place, 3rd and 4th place, each team wins $30,000. They get 775 ESL Pro Tour points, 875 Blast points. Let's go here. Third and 4th, they
look at point rankings.
$50,000, so a little bit of a difference. Oh, Nip got 50, Furia got 45. What are the RMR points? There should be... Aren't there RMR points to be had here?
Like between 1st and 2nd?
Yeah, I don't know
definitely.
I don't know what the RMR point distribution is for this. and how they calculate them. But like, if we were to go HLTV, we go over here to the rankings. NIP currently, where is NIP? NIP are currently the world number 13. They have 244 RMR points. Heroic have 277. Gambit have
So
680.
this win
It's
His
not
win
gonna.
is big for Gambit.
It's big for everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know how HLTV does theirs, but we will definitely see. So it's been a fun tournament,
Oh
and
hell yeah.
Heroic versus Gambit's gonna be a fun game. Now, with that being said, Dan, let's get into what we think the maps are gonna be.
Okay.
I think you and I have both agreed on the bans.
100%.
All right, and again, folks, reminding everyone, this is a best of 5 grand final with no map advantage. So both of these teams are going to start off 0-0. There is no upper bracket 1 map advantage. Again, best of 5. Dan,
Hmm?
we both are going to agree Gambit are going to ban Nuke, Heroic are going to ban Dusto.
Yes, I'm totally in agreement with that.
This is why I kept this page open, folks. I'm getting, for the sake of the podcast, Dan and I are going with Gambit picking first, right?
Mm-hmm.
My 5 maps in order. I think Gambit pick Train first. Then I think Heroic pick Overpass. And again, there is no second set of bans, so Gambit gets the 3rd pick. I think Gambit pick Vertigo. I think Heroic then pick Inferno. Mirage is left as the decider. Dan, what do you think the 5 maps are going to be if you're, again, going under the assumption Gambit ban Nuke and Heroic ban Dusto?
Yep, so mine's a wee bit different. I'm gonna go Gambit sticks to their map of Overpass.
Okay.
Heroic picks Inferno.
Yep.
Gambit Vertigo.
Yep.
Heroic Mirage, and then Train is left over.
Definitely interesting. So we know we're going to see, we're not going to see Nuke, we know we're not going to see Dusto. That's fine. We're not looking, when we're playing DFS picks, for map-specific players. We're not doing this. At least that's my
Well, I
opinion.
do.
Well, what I mean is this is a best of 5. There was a good chance this goes 5.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. But
No.
no. I mean,
Well, like, for example, let's say this was Furia. We might be maybe a little bit more inclined to play Vinia because maybe we get Inferno.
right.
Right, there are just some players who do better on certain maps. These teams are so well-rounded, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to get different. It's a showdown format. We have not really talked showdown formats here on the podcast. If there's one thing from I learned from our mutual friend, Brad Collins, and multiple discords that you and I with him with, is ways to win showdown that have been analyzed, and I kind of agree after seeing all the winning lineups, is 3-1. You just have to figure out, is it 3-1 with 2 of the same team and the captain, or is it a 1-1? And that's what we're going to have to determine on this slate. So with that being said, Dan, let's get into the slate breakdown for this best of 5 grand final. Heroic versus Gambit. I'm going to leave all salaries in the flex. Showdown, if you're new to Counter-Strike Showdown, it is a 4-person format because we only have 10 players. You need 2 captains and 2 flex. I'm going to show flex pricing here on the podcast. Dan, let's talk one team at a time. Heroic and Gambit. Which team do you like to win this best of 5 grand final?
Okay, so I like Gambit to win. And actually probably pretty handily, but that is not my focus for DFS.
Okay.
Because we are not in the results business, Adam.
Nonsense. I've already time traveled. I've used the quantum realm. I've already jumped ahead. I already know who's going to win, and I'm going to win all the money. I'm totally kidding. Before you say, I'm just going to let you know, According to Pinnacle, Gambit is a minus 183 favorite against Heroic. Heroic are a plus 149 underdog. That being said, go ahead, give us your thoughts on Heroic and Gambit and who you think are going to win.
Okay. Sorry, I was just looking at something else.
Compose yourself, my friend. I know it's an exciting grand final.
I know I get distracted. Sorry, can you repeat that again?
You already said that you think Gambit's going to win. I'm picking
Yep.
Heroic to win. Look, I understand from DFS purposes. I'm not picking Heroic to win for in terms of for DFS on this podcast. I'm a Heroic fan. As
You're
much
straight up.
as Gambit has become a favorite team of mine, I am a Heroic fan after what I saw from them the summer of last year to their resurgence in August and how good they look. I became a Heroic fan. Heroic are my favorite team in Counter-Strike. I'm picking Heroic to win. I am a fan. I'm sorry. I will go over my thoughts on why I'm playing 3-1 Heroic to Gambit for DFS purposes in a little bit. But Dan, you think Gambit win? I think Heroic are going to win. I personally think, I'm giving Heroic a little too much credit, 6 out of 4 times or 7 out of 3, Gambit should win this game.
So I think if it were like 6 months down the road and the all these guys have been playing together more, then I would think it would be more even than
I would agree with that.
more. But I don't think it's that even that close right now. Sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to.
again, that's why I originally said 8-2, and I'm giving Heroic a little bit more credit by how good
Yeah.
they've looked. And again, if you want
Okay.
to analyze this literally, if we want to be like Counter-Strike analysts right now and take the DFS away, Heroic have a stronger 5 than Gambit do.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
think I'd.
sorry, would you rather Shush support or Inter support? Would you rather
I mean,
Canadian
yeah.
IGL or Nafany IGL?
I mean, I Daphne's calling some pretty good shit, and he
Nafany's been
does
calling some
brag
amazing
out.
Counter-Strike. 100%. But again, talent standpoint, there's Shiro for Gambit, Gap, and you have Cadian, Stown, Tessus, Refresh, who's a young talent who could be
Yeah.
an ace of a team if when he has that ceiling. He's not there yet. And you have Shuj, who already was the ace of a team, who's now the support player in a core 5.
Right. You got me. Yeah, no, I'll have to agree with you that the individual talent is very good, and I know that Cadian is an excellent, not just a IGL, but like a leader. As traditionally you would define a leader, as far as like getting a lot of really good results from his team, and
I want to have
um,
dinner with Katie and have a couple drinks and just chat with the guy on interviews and those little tidbits we get between breaks and everything. He just seems one of the coolest, down to earth people that you just want to hang out with and talk to. That's my opinion. He
yeah,
just seems the kind of guy you just want to have a drink with and just chat.
yeah, I can see that.
So anyway, that's besides the point. Again, being such a fan of this team and hearing Katie in interviews and hearing all these other interviews, he just seems like that kind of guy. You just want to hey, it's like there's a friend. Hey, you want to go to the bar and just chat? He just seems like one of those guys. If you just call up one of your friends and they just want to go hang down at the local bar and just chit chat and catch up, that to me is Katie. He has that kind of personality. He's a great
Yeah,
leader.
that makes for a good leader. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, they say the best CEOs are the ones that can, they don't they find what people are the best at and then put them in that position to succeed.
Yeah.
So it's not about like manipulating and motivating, but like learning what someone is good at and then using that. And I think he's good at that with
Huh.
the.
You
I
you
mean, they looked happy. Like all those guys were smiling. Like they look like they're having fun.
yeah.
I think that's important.
I'm gonna say this about Cadian too. He is a good player. So
Yeah.
and that's kind of an understatement. But I remember it was several months back. He did an interview. I don't know who it was with. I think it was on HLTV Confirmed or whatever. I forget where it was. But Cadian made a comment about his own gameplay versus being the IGL. And it was a comment, I think, and again, don't quote me to this, don't hold me to this. It was something where Cadian stopped focusing so much on his own stats, and he knows he could put up the stats if he wanted to, maybe at the expense of being an IGL more, but he wanted to focus more on being the IGL than focus on being like the top fragger of the team.
Right.
So we know he has the top fragging talent. And over the last several months, he's been arguably the best player on Heroic. He's basically figured out how to be that top fragger and great IGL. He's become a blame F type. Right? Like he's become high fragger, but can still be a great IGL. Like if he needs to go in and get the information for one round, that's fine. He'll do it. But again, difference between blame F and Cadian, obviously blame F a rifler, Cadian an opper. It's a little different. You try setting an opera in to get information, that's not exactly the best use of an opera's talents. But if he doesn't have the op in his hand and it's a pistol round or whatever, like if he wants to go in first, that's fine. But like that comment said to me that like he's doing what's in the best interest of the team, so the team can win. Counter-Strike is a team sport. It's not all about stats. We're in the DFS world. We care about stats. These teams care about winning. They care about teamwork. And I can tell you, as part of an esports team, it's more about how can you help the team win than it is personal stats. Yeah, personal stats are nice, but let's say for example, I'm the support role. I want to make sure my star player, if I'm backing them up, I'm flashing them in, I'm setting off a Molotov, I'm launching an HE grenade. How can I help the other players on my team? What's going to put us in the best position to win? Right? So like again, you think of Heroic and Gambit, what is all these guys doing round by round to put the team in the best situation to win? These guys know how good they are. There's a reason they're in Tier 1 Counter-Strike. Obviously, you want to get better, you want to pay more money, there's all that to it. It's a team game. And when it comes down to it, there have been no two better, in my opinion, recently than Heroic and Gambit from a team play standpoint. That is my long-winded way of saying I totally cut you off. Go back to everything you were saying.
Yeah, leaders, schmeaters,
He
they get the
basically
best
muted
out
me,
of people.
folks. He just muted me.
Okay.
He wanted nothing to do with anything I was talking about. He's like, is this guy done yet? He's rambling and rambling. He makes no sense. He wants to go over beer with Katie, which means he wants to fly to Denmark. Just my podcast now. I'll get a new co-host.
No, Adam, I don't listen to respond. I listen to digest and then respond. So or I listen to listen.
Well, talk to me
So
about
what I was
Heroic.
thinking. Well, no, I'm you kind of selling me, which is I'm getting a little scared at it. But and I remember when they won. I always forget the name.
ESL 1 Cologne 2020.
Cologne.
Cologne is
Like
widely regarded as one of the biggest events of the year. Katowice is basically like a non-official major. Cologne is a non-official major because they're the big events in Tier 1 Counter-Strike.
Right.
So those are like two. I think there's one more. It might be the IEM Global Challenge or whatever. I know there's I think there might be one more. But Katowice and Cologne are two of like the big three, like quote unquote non-majors.
Right.
They
When
went
I just
through some
remember.
tough opponents too.
No, I remember when they would be like you could everyone was at their house, I think, or they were always at their own house, so they kind of looked like scrubs. While the other teams were like at a
Boot camp or something.
boot camp, or they had their logo like really nice behind them, and then Nico and Katie would just be like hunched over at their computer, which I thought was cool. It made me think that they were like ragtag almost, and gave them a lot of credit for that. But and Cadian had the horn. He had like an air horn every time they won, I think.
That's Kerrigan. Kerrigan had the air horn.
No, Cadian had one too. It was
Cadian
I
have
think
one too? I know Kerrigan. No, I'm sorry. Kerrigan had the little spinny clicker thing. He didn't have an air horn.
And I was just like, oh yeah, like they're having fun, like they're
Yep.
clearly having a good time, and that in my mind at their age, like that makes a big difference
Yep.
in competitiveness, because I mean, like even then you could be like, fuck, like screw this, like I'm not gonna work for someone like this, and and put in the time and effort.
Yep.
And you have to have somebody that can bring that like that vision of what success could be like for them without being having it be a grind. And for now, like after you like kind of went on this path, like I think of the Russians as like not like that. Like you're gonna sit at your desk and you're gonna play Counter-Strike until you can't even keep your eyes open, and that's how you're gonna get good. Like Ivan Drago kind of style, or what the American Kickboxer. I know they were Koreans, but they're like out in the snow kicking trees down
Dan, your movie
without any shirts
references
on.
are something else.
So like that's how I see the Gambit youngsters is they're just
I wouldn't
they're
say
just
Gambit
pawns.
don't look like they're having fun. I would say Gambit
Well,
have a
hold on,
bit
Adam.
more of like a
Adam,
serious focus tone.
this is my narrative,
Bye,
and
folks.
I see.
I'll see you from last. I'm done. Dan, take over the rest of the show.
Um, so I think that for on that alone, I'm actually switching to heroic.
Welcome to Team Heroic, Dan. Welcome to Team Heroic.
Anytime.
All right. So again, so my long-winded said like, for example, like, what I mean by the whole going back to the whole Caden comment of just like he seems like, again, to your point, they're out there having fun. From again listening to his interviews, he seems like one of those down to earth people that you just want to go hang out with and talk to. There are
Mm-hmm.
certain players like that. That's a sign of a great leader.
Yep.
Because that can show like you're not going to sit there and like crack the whip on someone that's doing terrible. You're not going to sit there and demean anybody. You're going to be there building them up and have that other thing like the Katie and Hunden dynamic that we saw when Hunden was with the team
Mm-hmm.
was fantastic. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
again, Stound's young, Testis is young, and like all these other like Refresh I think is young. I sure might be a little bit older, like probably like early 20s, but like there were a lot of young people on this team, and Katie has just empowered this team to look like something else. So, anything else you want to talk about Heroic before we talk about Gambit?
I like refresh
Well,
to
we'll
do
get
well tomorrow.
we'll get back into the DFS plays in a
No,
second, but
no, I mean just in general. I'm
yeah.
not saying
Oh, from some of the CS:GO standpoint, yeah, like he's got crazy talent. He just
yeah.
needs to know
I
how to
really
he needs to know how to control it.
his impact is really big.
Yep. I mean, like he's not like boom bust, but he's up and down a little bit. And I think like once he finally figures it out and consistently plays at this tier 1 level, I think he's finally gonna be on that like upswing to like consistently play better and like hit a like I don't know if he'll get to like an elite ceiling, but he's gonna get to a great ceiling for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that being said, Gambit. This is a team where we knew when we were playing Gambit, we wanted to play Shiro and Axile. Then this team added Hobbit. Changed the entire team dynamic by adding one player. Hobbit is a previous major winner. He's already won with this team before. They added Hobbit, or it was either he that won a major with Gambit and won with some other team. Hobbit knows what it's like to succeed. They brought that into the rest of this team. It changed everything. Gambit have looked unstoppable. And let's face it, if I were to tell you Gambit versus Virtus Pro, who's better? My first thought is, well, Virtus Pro is a better juggernaut. Gambit have been better than Virtus Pro, and it's not close. They have been consistently elite. Maybe they're not putting up insane high fragging numbers like Yakindar is, because Yakindar. But these are two teams in Gambit and Virtus Pro. All they did was add one player. And it changed their entire team dynamic. It changed how they were winning or losing. Talk to me about Gambit, and we know the best player in this game is Shiro.
Yeah, Shiro's the best for sure.
Hashtag
I mean, what else can I say?
analysis.
I mean, what it's yeah, he's the best player, or the best player, hands down, on the entire, out of both teams. I mean, probably, in my mind, even in the world right now, because I mean, devices number 3, simples number 2, who could be going to Valorant, and Zywoo
Oh, here we go.
is famous now, so probably not even
Zywoo,
playing Counter Strike.
You're already the number one. You're already the number one in the world, but now you're on Forbes' 30 for 30 list. Oh,
Yeah,
30 under 30.
hey, he doesn't have to work anymore. He can just kick back and
What is
drink
he
pina
gonna?
coladas.
What is he gonna do? Get all his money from Forbes? Forbes, pay me my billions. Anyway,
No, they're
so
they're
you're
probably gonna
saying
name a sandwich out of him in France.
the Zywee sandwich. I'm sorry. That nickname is too fantastic. Um, so
Zywee.
so let me understand this. You think Shiro is the fourth best player in the world right now,
No, I think he's the best player in the world.
over the other three?
Hmm?
I'm not putting him over Simple, or I'm not putting him over Zywoo. I'm not putting him over Simple. You can make an argument right now putting him over Device. I think you can
All
make a
right.
strong
Yeah, never
argument for
mind.
Shiro at
That's
three.
yeah. That I was. So I'm glad you reeled me in a little bit. That would be a bit of a stretch to say that he's
Listen,
better than.
I would take if you were to tell, let's play a name game. Zywoo or Shiro?
Yeah. All right. Never mind. Zywoo. Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Zywoo or Simple? Simple or Shiro?
Chiro.
Simple
Right
for
now.
me. And this is where I think he slots in for us. Device or Shiro?
Chiro. 100%.
I
Twice can't
agree.
carry.
I would take. I mean, I, for right now, I lean slightly Device because of the longer track record. Before this year is over, I think Shiro sits in that 3 spot. And then the fourth best player in the world, Nico. Nico or Shiro?
Mm,
And for me, it's Shiro.
yeah, it's clearly sure.
I mean, Nico overall, talent-wise, is better than Shiro. He should be 4. But again, this is the range we're talking about how good this kid is. He could be knocking off Device and Nico for their spots before year's end. That's how good this kid is. He might finally have a shot at top 20 or top 5. He's that good. But with that
hmm
being said, we talk about some of the great 1-2 players in Counter Strike. Simple and Electronic, Rops and Frozen. I think it's time to add Shiro and either Axile or Hobbit to that list. I still think it's Shiro Axile as 1-2. Hobbit maybe has become
Oh,
the number 3.
yeah. Axel is up in the top. I would say top 10 at least. Anyway,
I mean, just
in the world.
when you think of powerful combinations, Gambit has 3. Shiro, Axile, Hobbit. They got a
hmm
strong top 3. So with that being said, Dan, let's get back into finishing our thoughts on Gambit. I think what this team has done since they added Hobbit has been incredible. It's been fun to watch. They look like they're having a blast. I mean, they may not be showing it because they look like they're more focused. And even to your crazy movie reference there, point in your narrative, Gambit are the best team in the world right now. Regardless of whatever the HLTV rankings is, because that's also a points-based thing, it's Gambit, Gap, and then the next group of teams. Gambit have been the best team in the world right now in Counter-Strike. I don't think it's all that close.
Yes, I'm totally in agreement.
All right. That was our long 28-minute segment on this entire team. But again, Dan, it's our podcast. We have the right to talk Counter-Strike other than just DFS. And
Yeah.
again, that's the whole purpose of this podcast. While it's DFS focused, we get to talk about the fun Counter-Strike that goes along with it. Dan, let's actually go to the DFS portion, and let's talk strategy for the showdown slate. $2,000 to first in the large field GPP. Tons of other money to be won in contests. Heroic or Gambit? Again, so strategy-wise, I'm looking for a 3-1. I either want 3 Heroic or 3 Gambit with obviously 1 run back. That is what is shown, I believe, to consistently win GPPs. But I have not done any kind of data on is it 2 captains from the same team or is it 1 and 1? How are you approaching the showdown slate?
Man, it's tough. I mean, oh,
It's
you
tough
got. I
because
mean,
again, they're such they should be somewhat evenly matched again 6 months out. But like right
yeah.
now, what are you thinking for this slate? Again, like Shiro's 12,000, Axile's 11,2, Cadian's 10,4, Hobbit's 9,800.
I mean, I can tell you right now, I do not recall ever winning any showdown anything with a 2-2.
It's tough to do.
Or I've seen one two work where one, what the one run back was like probably simple as I woo, and they were the run back captain that went off on the losing team.
So you think
Um,
your strategy in going into this, and this is where I get to learn too, because sometimes I just play Showdown for fun. So you
oh
think it's more of a two captains from the same team?
yeah, so you play three all from the what team you think is going to win, and then the one off is just a fit or someone that you think is going to score well that might be high priced but not in the captain because like over the course of 5 maps, if it goes five even, I mean the dudes are gonna come in, and do well.
Yep. So with that being said, Dan, how are you approaching the slate?
In
Your
my
main.
opinion, I mean it's not that complicated. Like I really think it comes down to maybe like if it does go 5 maps, like it's probably really even the whole way, and then
Agreed. Dan, you there?
rounds
There you
are gonna
are.
pull ahead. And
Couldn't hear you for a second.
oh, you couldn't?
No. So
Oh,
the last thing I heard was that you think if it goes 5 maps, it's going to be pretty even, and I absolutely agree with that.
yeah. Yeah, and then whoever wins for DFS is just going to be whichever team takes the last few or few rounds.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played a lot of best of fives, like to be honest with you, but I mean, over the course, if it does go 5 maps, that's you kind of have to, I guess you kind of have to pick based on your narrative of how far it goes, really.
Yep. And I think Dan, that's why you and I really got to talk about these teams too. I think this is definitely a little bit narrative based with how even these teams should be. And
Mm-hmm.
going into this, yeah, it's a best of five. This isn't a best of three. This isn't I can go. I'm gonna be sneaky and I'm gonna play Captain Nafi. I'm gonna go Captain Inters and really get sneaky. If this goes 5 maps, what are the odds of a support player getting there? And I'm not knocking the support players. I'm just talking for DFS purposes. Stat wise, do you think Inters or Schuster are gonna get there if this goes 5 maps? I don't.
No, no.
So
The only reason I would play either one of those guys is purely for if I need the money.
mm-hmm. I think. All right. So from how's the best way to say this? How are you attacking this from from a roster construction standpoint? I apparently sold you on heroic. I think you and I can both agree if we're looking at this objectively, Gambit should win this 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah,
How are you approaching roster? And you don't have to give us plays. Like we could talk players if we want to. This is also more strategy. This 10 players. Like Dan and I could talk about all 10 players, and we could think upsides and downsides, and we could start building lineups too. But we don't want to exactly build lineups for everyone. We want to empower you all to make your own choices by the conversation that Dan and I are having. So Dan, can I just start you some scenarios?
of course.
And these are my scenarios. I'm just gonna say, if you think that Gambit win and they sweep heroic, that would be an upset. You have 3 Gambit, 1 heroic, 2 Gambit in the captain spot. Agreed?
Yep.
If you think heroic win in 4, that's my pick. I think heroic win this in 4. I personally think you're going to need maybe a 1 in 1. If
A
heroic win
one
in
cap,
4.
really?
Someone
I mean,
has to be doing
that
well on
means
the opposing team to get to 4 maps. And I think they're
yeah,
going to
but
be 4 really close maps.
that means that So someone won, Gambit only won one map, right?
Correct. I'm picking
And
Heroic
Heroic
to
won.
beat Gambit 3-1. That's my
Yeah,
pick. I think this ends on the 4th map. I think Heroic win. I think Gambit win train, and Heroic then sweep them 3-0. I think they take Overpass, Vertigo, and Inferno. I don't even think we get to Mirage. If this goes 5, I think Gambit win because of Mirage. But
okay.
that's no like the Heroic. Heroic have beaten Furia, Complexity, and OG in ESL Pro League, Season 13. 3 really good Mirage teams. Heroic have beaten them. That says a lot to me. So maybe this team's better than their win percentages over the last 3 months with this core. So for me, if I think it goes 4, I'm probably gonna go 1-1 for captain, 1 heroic, 1 gambit, and 2 flex being heroic.
See, I would not recommend that because that's like I said, that does not win very often where you have one from each team where one team wins 3 maps. I
Can
mean,
we apply that same logic to more than 3 maps? Because we have to get a minimum of 3 maps.
I think if it goes 5, yeah.
I will keep that in mind. And I mean pricing on this slate too, so I'll just go over pricing real quick. Shiro's 12,000, Axile is 11,200, Cadian is 10,400, Hobbit's 9,800, Stown is 9,200, Nafany is 8,600, Tessus is 8,000, Inters is 7,600, Shush is 7,000, Refresh is 6,200. Pricing wise, I wonder how roster construction is going to shape out. Clearly, DK is boosting up Gambit's pricing.
Hmm.
It's going to be very tough to play any of the top 3 together, and any either Cadian or Stown. What do you think happens? Do you think this goes
Um,
3, 4, or 5?
I think I have 2, so I think either it goes 3 and oh man, this is kind of silly. Yeah, it goes 3 and Gambit wins, or it goes 5 and Heroic wins.
I like it. So you don't think this even ends at 4 maps? You think this either there's a sweep or this goes the distance?
Yeah, because I think they both have strengths and weaknesses. I mean, obviously
I
Gambit has
agree.
more map strength, but
I agree.
yeah,
So
yeah, I think it's
with that being said, I'm going to change up our segment here because we're running a little long here on the podcast, and it is only a 1 game slate. But it's been fun talking, you know, recapping the previous slate, and then really just breaking down these 2 teams from Counter Strike standpoint and for DFS. And hopefully, what we've been saying, folks, has been helping you make these picks. Again, you have to pick 4 of 10 people. You got to make the best lineup that you guys can make, you guys and gals. And Dan, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this has been a really good strategy conversation too. Breaking down some of the players, breaking down the teams, how we think it's going to go, playing the narratives and all that other stuff, right?
hmm
Okay,
I'm really happy. Like if we had talked last night, I would have done something different today.
gotcha. So with that being
Yeah.
said, Dan, we're
Mhm.
just going to make this a very different segment. There's not going to be a favorite team stack. We're going to do 1 core play, 1 bold prediction. There are not that many players in the player pool for us to do core value in GPP. So I
Right.
would say give us, we'll do 1 core. We'll do favorite strategy in terms of like roster construction, whether you want 3 heroic, 1 gambit, 3 gambit, 1 heroic, or maybe you even want to go 2-2. And then give a bold prediction. And we'll get out of here.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
All right, 1 core play.
Cadian.
Okay, go ahead and give us your favorite GPP strategy for this slate.
3-1. 3 heroic, 1 Gambit,
Okay, and
and
again,
with two heroic in the captain.
I like it. Bold prediction.
Uh, enters and the captain wins a GPP.
I'm cutting you off.
It's so easy to use. It's like, I mean, no one's gonna do. If anybody does it, it'll be like 2% out of their whatever number of
I like it
lineups they
though.
create.
It is bold. For
Very
me,
cool.
my core play on this slate is Shiro. I think Shiro is going to end up being the highest scorer on the slate. That's not a bold prediction. That's just what I think happens. Um, the question is, do you captain him or do you not captain him? I am also going to go 3-1 Heroic. I already said Heroic are going to win in 4. That is my bold prediction. Heroic upset Gambit. Gambit only take one map in this grand final. That is a bold
Now,
prediction. But based on how
I don't
Gambit
think
have
it
been
is.
playing,
I don't think it is, Adam. I really don't. I mean, I think that a heroic is a lot better than what we've kind of assessed thus far. I mean, when you think about the circumstances of both teams, it's like Gambit's been grinding out maps for 9 months and tournaments
and Heroic have a
um,
new team.
yeah, and Heroic have a new team. Um, it's pretty interesting. And again, that doesn't necessarily a recipe for a win, but I think it in my mind it doesn't rule. It certainly makes it a lot closer, with a better chance for them to actually win and upset.
I like it. So that is my bold
So
prediction. I'm still saying it's bold because how Gambit have looked recently, for them to only take one map against Heroic, I think would be a shocker. So that's my
yeah,
bold
okay,
prediction. My strategy for this slate is 3-1 Heroic. And Dan, I think you've sold me 2-2 Captain. And if I'm going with a 4-map victory, Heroic should be crushing. I'm also going to go 2 Heroic Captain.
yeah, you got her.
Any last minute thoughts or anything that not like last minute, but any last thoughts on this slate?
I'm gonna be glued. Well, I got to do some tax returns, but I'm gonna be watching as much as I can with the permission of my wife. So,
This is going to
um,
be a fun grand final.
I think it's gonna be amazing. I think, and I really do think it might go 5, and I think it's gonna be like down to the wire.
If this goes 5, get a cup of coffee, a giant bowl of popcorn, and expect to be sitting in front of a TV or a computer for 5+ hours. I
Yeah,
remember
I just found out
using
you can watch. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it was Evil Geniuses versus Team Liquid grand final. I think that thing went 5+ hours. I was
Oh
tired after
yeah,
map 4.
what was that? Yeah, I remember that too.
I
That was
forget.
that last summer?
It was either last summer or last fall. It might have been IEM New York. I forget. It was such a fun grand final, but I was tired watching it. How were the
Yeah, it
players
was.
feeling playing it? I was tired watching it. I think that was a 5+ hour grand final. This is going to be a ton of fun. Dan, it's been a great event. ESL Pro League Season 13 have been fantastic. I love the play-in format. I thought that was great to give all these teams playing these group stages an incentive to win. Um,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say regarding ESL Pro League Season 13 or this slate?
Yeah. I'm not gonna um toot our horns, but I think we made some pretty good assessments throughout the season, and I made some calls that I was probably from maybe from an ego standpoint, I really wanted to work so that I could look like I might be really good at this, and then those tend to not work out, Adam. So I'm gonna check that from now on,
Listen,
and
you have to call your shots with with this anything that you have to call your shots.
yep.
Um, and we're getting better, and I think we've made some great calls. I think incorporating our winning lineup review strategy, I think, is making us better DFS players. To try
Mhm.
figuring out, like, again, it's going to be tendencies too. Like, do we change our tendencies? We get a bigger sample size. We can look at some of these things. It's been a great event. I'm looking forward to the Blast Premier Spring Showdown. I talked about this yesterday in the pod. I previewed it a bit. It is a 1 week event. This is a showdown, single elimination format. So this isn't like the spring series where we get multiple, matches. We start in the playoff format. It is a single elimination format. You and I will be back for the Blast Premier Spring Showdown 2021 later on this week.
Oh yeah.
Hit that like button, folks. You've been listening now for almost an hour. Um, hit that like button, please. Really helps us out. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. And make sure y'all know every time one of these podcasts drop. And leave a comment down below. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, who you're rooting for in this grand final. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Wandelch, WANDELCH. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamWX21. Dan, anything else you want to say?
Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Dan and I will be back for the Blast Premier Spring Showdown next week. Latest, peoples.